The black cats got Dave N. The white cats, they got Doug. The Google search engine.
Alright, so welcome to the first ever Jim and Ann show. Ta-da-da! Alright, so today we have a couple of topics to talk about. Let's start with Google Plus. Is it going away? Is it gone? Is it going to be going away, Ann? Google Plus?
I hope not. I like it. Yeah, I like it. Especially now in industry, it's so good. We have so many people talking there, and I have friends there, and there are tools built for it.
So people are actually using the community?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, not you, but that's
I'm occasionally there, but you're everywhere. So people are using Google Plus. Do you think is it still increasing?
To me, many people are switching to LinkedIn right now instead of Google Plus. But to me, Google Plus is more about professional discussions, not just
SEO?
Not just Facebook, like it's personal. And Google Plus is more professional, so you find people to connect there to talk about smart things,
So the Google Plus community is actually growing?
It was.
But
now I'm not sure if it's still growing.
Now Google is split up a little bit.
Google didn't like it for some reason, and that's for sure, because they switched it off from YouTube. Now it's removed from Knowledge Graph. There is no more authorship and Google authors, so Google thought it was a failure, and we can see it. But they're not closing it up, and they even have new features there. So
what are some of the new features?
The most recent one is the collections, where you can collect your Google Plus updates by topic. So it's switching more to curating by topic and saving. Maybe they've been using hashtags to analyze the content, because they still have the explore feature that shows related hashtags, which I think is awesome. I wish Twitter had that. Like, you can type in a hashtag and you will see the whole 10 or 20 related hashtags. And that works great for Twitter chats, or even for your name. You can see if anyone hashtag your name on Google Plus, you will see results, what people talk about when they mention you. So it's an interesting feature. I hope they're not closing that one. Oh, and the one that they also closed was Google Ripples. It was very sad. That you had a URL, and you can go to Google Ripples to see all the discussions around that URL across the whole Google Plus community. So you could see everyone, all the comments and stuff. It's gone.
Damn you, Google.
I don't know why they're closing those cool features.
I remember especially when Google removed the pictures from the search results of authors, and also when Google said that they weren't going to read the author tag the way that they did. Previously, if you had a blog post, you would put your link on the bottom to your Google Plus page, and Google would be like, okay, this article was written by you, and now they're no longer, in a sense, reading that.
It was a cool idea. It was so cool, because they could see which companies I work or I used to work, and you could see which URLs I like to share on Google Plus, what I plussed, what I visited from Google, what I wrote. It was such a great idea. I don't know why it didn't work.
So you give Google all your information?
Yes.
You don't worry?
I already do. I use Gmail. I cannot live without Gmail, and I cannot live without Google Search.
Right. I still have a little tinfoil.
Yes, I know, but I have Gmail and I love it. I'm not sure how to switch it.
So, it was really interesting. I think it was the day that Google stopped reading the Google Plus rel author tag. A lot of people were saying, this now is the death of Google Plus. And I remember Danny Sullivan did a post on that day where he said, hey, Google authorship may be dead, but author rank is not. Which is really interesting, because there are, to me, really good writers are incredibly valuable on a couple fronts. Anyone who can write really good, entertaining, valuable content, there's certainly a need for that on the web. But the other is, and Ann, you've written and speak about this a lot, but the value of an author. Why don't you talk a little bit about what is the value of an author?
Well, it's like if someone really if you trust an author and you know that he wrote a book, would you buy it? Of course you would, because you know that all the previous works were great.
And by the way, we're going to be writing a book soon,
Yeah.
so you can buy it. Trust us.
Thank you. I know they trust us.
A pre-plug. You can pre-order it soon.
Not yet, but hopefully. So what was I saying? Yeah,
Google
and
Plus.
Google and the authorship.
Yes.
Authorship. And now, if I write great articles that attract comments and that attract social media shares and backlinks and citations, if my name is mentioned across all my industry, and somehow I write an article for a not so well-known blog, what would it tell a search engine about that blog and about that article? I would bring my authority there, and I would show, hey, this is a great blog because I wrote an article for it.
And well, part of your authority as well is going to be based off of how many articles has Ann written across the web, and then how many other places have cited those articles. Of course, citation, biggest one being the link, but you can look also at social citations and mentions. But a big part of it is how much, if Ann has written, say, 10,000 pages across the web, which is probably an understatement, and let's say that those 10,000 pages have received 100,000 links, then the average page that Ann writes gets 10 links to it or 10 citations, which is really good. If you have another writer who's written 10,000 pieces of documents and they have 10 links total going to all those documents, their authorship is not worth anything. So the biggest part of the value of that authorship is how many documents have you written and how many other places have cited those documents, as well as are there other known authors that have cited you. So if Ann, let's say that Ann has we'll come up with, there's an author score. There's really not an author bar like there used to be a page rank bar, but if there were, and let's say you're an author rank of 8, and if she were to cite something by a newbie who's maybe an author rank of 1, but Ann says, oh, check out this blog post over here from this guy, that guy in a sense is gonna, it's not just going to be known that, let's say if Ann links it from let's say on the web from like our blog, and she says, oh, here's some further reading on it, you should check out Joe. Then Google knows, well, it's not just a link from our blog, but it's a link from Ann Smarty. And Ann Smarty has this very high author rank because a lot of the things that Ann writes are cited and linked to by many places and many other highly trusted people.
Yeah, and it should be very easy to understand because there are measurable metrics of the influence, like how many other great authors cited that one, how many documents they've written that got 0 citations, for example, and how many they got hundreds of citations. So it's very measurable, and that's why we had so much hopes on authorship, because that could be translated into visible benefits in search results by showing the picture only to most trusted authors, for example. Mm-hmm. That would be for us, that would an information of who I can trust in this industry based on all that authoring information that they do not show. So that was sad that we lost it, but I guess, why do you think we lost it, Jim?
I'm not fully sure, but I think that part of it may have had to do with, I guess it kind of even leads into maybe partially one of the bigger, I don't want to say failures with it, but when we look at authorship, the people that use the Google Plus and link to their Google Plus profiles were an abnormally high amount of SEOs and an abnormally low amount of people like college professors or real authors across the web. Some of the most highly trusted people out there, they didn't give a hoot about Google Plus and they didn't use it. And so it's kind of interesting when Google's spidering the web, going from page to page to page, they're also looking at, are any of these pages that we see, are they authored by anyone? 99.9% of pages that are on the web aren't authored by anyone. They're just, here's a product page or another type of page. But every now and then, Google, when they come across a page, they're looking for these things called keys that can identify that a specific page was written by a specific person. And so things that are keys could be like a unique email address, rsmith@thissite.com. It could be a link to a social media profile. All right, here's this person's Twitter account. It could be a link to someone's bio page and information about them. It could be the meta author tag as well on there. So and of course the obvious, by Jim Boykin or by Ann Smarty, like somewhere on the top or bottom of the page. So when Google finds a key and it says, we believe that this page was written by this specific person, then that page that Google spidered goes into another index at Google, kind of the author index, and all the pages that are in there for all the authors, every author has a score, and their score is based on, well, how many pages has Google found that it feels that have been written by this person, and again, how many other places have cited it, and how many trusted people have cited it. So, I think I think one of the biggest things is 99% of the time, 99.99% of the time, is Google's crawling the web, going from page to page to page, looking for who wrote a page. Google Plus was, the used 0.001% of the time of Google looking for keys. And I think that it just wasn't, a lot of people did use it, but I think a lot of the people at Google maybe hoped would use it if it kind of passed some sort of threshold and it reached the stage of like college professors and real authors and super highly trusted people, but I don't think it just crossed that threshold. And so, I guess the other thing is when Google starts doing things like that, a lot of the people that jump on things like that, or any change, I guess, is going to be the SEOs. And so, of course, the SEOs are like, how can I utilize this? And if suddenly Google stops showing the picture and says, we're not reading that author tag anymore, then kind of SEOs don't focus on, what could be really valuable, which is having a really good author who doesn't write tons of stuff, but what they write is getting really highly valuable citations and, and how you might do things across the web based on your authors. If SEOs aren't looking at it like anymore, then better for Google. So I think that part of it may have been, this is really important to Google. And they're certainly mapping the social web and what are the connections between people and who are the influencers. And once you start doing things like showing in the special pictures and other things, I think in other ways, if we don't show that, then people won't focus on it. And we don't want people to focus on it because we don't want people messing up our algorithm. We want to rank things how we want to. And
I agree. And I also think that experiment, that little experiment of the authorship, screwed their data, because they gave more exposure to people in search results who probably did not deserve it. So they were getting all those citations because of their photo in search results. So
your SEO friends all show up in the search results. Luckily, all our friends are SEOs, but to my non-SEO friends, you probably saw me a lot in there.
I'm not saying that I deserve this search snippet. Maybe not, but many didn't, and they had that exposure in search results, which probably attracted some citations just because of that. And so that screwed some of that data that Google was collecting about all the authors and how they are connected to the content and all the signals. So it became the whole thing became a bit one-sided to those who use Google Plus, which was not fair, or which was probably screwing their algorithm as well.
So I know that our company works still on Google Plus accounts. We work with lots of authors for clients as well, and we're still participating in Google Plus. We haven't stopped. Your advice as well would be for people to still use Google Plus. If they're not involved in it, they should. If they are and stopped, they shouldn't.
I would say that depends. That definitely depends on the industry. If you register a Google Plus account and all you see is spam, there are just URL sharing and no discussions, no value, then why spend time there? But in some industries, I know it's huge in technology, it's huge in SEO, it is huge in traveling, probably because of the local pages and that stuff that Google Plus was integrated. and Google Maps too. So in some industries, it really it has huge value in terms of connections, how you utilize, how you get known. Like any social media site which we're using is not for Google. I'm not using Twitter because I think that Google is using that data. I'm using Twitter because I know people are citing me there, looking for my updates. It's a great discovery and connection tool. It's a great content marketing tool. So all of that, that's why I'm using Twitter. So Google Plus is the same.
What do you think about Google Plus reasons for it? I guess there's, I'm kind of that diehard SEO. Like if it helps in Google organic, I'm all for it. And I know that, you and a lot of the other employees here are all, it's social and it's branding and all. I mean, I'm a little bit of mix, mind you. But what's kind of your take on SEO benefits and branding benefits? I know it kind of depends on the brand and what are the conversations, but if you're posting in good stuff, what might SEO value be, and what might branding value be? Do you think you'll ever sell anything on Google Plus? Do things get sold on Google Plus? What could be sold on Google Plus? Could you get your ROI from Google Plus time? How so? Ooh, tough questions.
I'm so bad with numbers, really. I'm so bad with that. First, what I really know is that whether it is any direct signals for Google or not, social media is huge fourth, second tier benefits, like attracting citations and backlinks. Many people who have
backlinks, you can get backlinks from Google Plus?
No, from people who are there.
Oh,
and
so if
they
you post good stuff on Google Plus,
they discover me. That's how I got all my citations.
That's how you get your links?
Yeah, like I share them on social media. People like them and
on Google Plus?
And cite them. Google Plus, Facebook,
and you're getting
Twitter.
Links? I got to be using Google Plus now. And I can get links from posting good stuff in Google Plus.
You can, but you cannot.
I got to be more active.
That's how you build links. You get your content discovered. And social media is one of those ways to get your content discovered. And build your influence and build your brand mentions. I know Google likes Google brand mentions, right?
Yes.
So that's how you do that. You mention your brand on social media. And people like it because you wrote something for that brand on that site and you shared that on social media, and that's how your brand is cited.
How do you build up a big community? How do you build up a big community in like Google Plus?
You find people and you collaborate with them, collaborate on them, building that community. That's how I've seen many huge communities built on Google Plus. You start with interacting with people who are already building their communities there, and they will be happy to share that community with you by resharing your articles, liking them, tagging you, citing you, inviting you to Google Hangouts.
So you got to become friends with them.
Yes. You become friends. That's how social media community is being built. You become friends with many people. You cannot be popular on social media without any connections.
So what are some tips on becoming friends with people on social media?
You help them. You cite them in your articles. One of the biggest things that I've been doing is mentioning tools in my articles. And then when I share them on Google+, I make sure to tag every CEO of that tool and every tool, the brand page of that tool in that update. So they will be notified by email that someone has mentioned them on Google+, and they will come, they will thank me, they will share my articles on all the other social media profiles, and they will include me in roundups and testimonials and reviews. Hey, we've been featured here and there. So that's a huge way. Just give people help and they will help you back.